Okay, good morning once again. So this is what we are covering for today. We have three sessions with these short breaks in between. So we'll start with encoding and import entry and importing of data. So yesterday we talked about the basics of project writing, basic data literacy, and those introductory stuff. And we have done the installation. So people are still doing the installation of the software currently. So today we are just going straight into the meat of the matter, like they say. So no slides today, no PowerPoints. It's just SPSS and SPSS. So you get your questionnaire. What do you want to do? You want to get data into SPSS somehow, and that is where you need to encode data. You need to enter the data, and like I mentioned yesterday, some of us will not do the traditional sharing of questionnaires. We are going to collect the data via online forms, Google Forms, Google Toolbox, all those other tools. So we just import data directly. But in many cases, the basic goal of this step is that you want to get your data into SPSS and then begin to work with it. So that is what this first session is about. Second session, data cleaning and univariate analysis. Data is naturally messy. Data is, they used to tell us in primary school that data is raw fact. So it's raw, it is dirty, it is messy, depending on where you collected it, who filled the data, who did the data entry. Data can be very messy to work with. So you need to clean it to ensure that you have, imagine you are doing data analysis and then you find that the average age of students in 200 level class is 36. Average age, not the max age. You know something is wrong somewhere. It could be possible that somebody was consistently entering a wrong value for something, or you are doing analysis and you find that the predominant religion in among Gwagwalada secondary school students is Confucianism. And then you're wondering how come, how many Chinese people do we have living here? There's something wrong with that. So you have to go through. It could be that somebody encoded something wrongly or misinterpreted the code book and then made some error. So you have to go through and clean. And then univariate analysis, just taking each in this project. Typically, you go through each variable and then analyze it, just each one. So univariate, single variable, and then computation and derived variables in SPSS. You want to, they will say, okay, knowledge score. They will say awareness score. They will say this one score, that one score. So you want to somehow be able to bring different questions together and then derive a single score from it so that you can analyze it. Sometimes you are doing derived variables because perhaps one variable that you have initially is not exactly in the format that you want, it's a little messy, you want to transform it, or maybe you have too many classes, say you have coded something and then you have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 to level 10, and then that's too many, you want to collapse it, so you can just break it down to say level 1 to 5, level 6 to 10. So you are recording it and you are making a derived variable. So that is what we are going to be talking about. When we get to these sessions, we are going to go into more details. So I'm going to be starting the first session, encoding, entry, and importing of data. So I have my SPSS open. So when you open SPSS, okay, so you have the data view, you have the variable view. And this was explained yesterday. The data view is where your actual data is going to be. So you have name, age, gender, whatever, going this way. The variable view is typically where you want to start from because that's where you're going to do your data encoding. So whatever is going to be shown here is going to be what you have represented here. So we are going to, of course, explain that better. So you want to take each variable that you have, you want to put them in a format that you can easily enter and easily work with. So we are going to be using one questionnaire here. Why does this guy do this? For a demo, sample questionnaire encoding. Okay, so this data we are using, it belongs to one of our seniors that just finished one of the projects I worked on. I got the permission to use this, so we are grateful to him, Dr. Bright Oraifo. This was his project work, and he permitted us to use it. So why do we want to encode data? What's the point of encoding data? Number one, you need to have consistency of data you are entering. So you can see here, you can see here I can encode this and say 1 equals male, 2 equals female. If I did not do that, so anytime I want to enter male, I just type 1. Anytime I want to enter female, I just press 2. and that is much faster than if I had to type male and female every time. Also, it will save me from these issues. So this is male written as M. This is male with a capital letter. Okay. Please, if you are joining from here, reduce your volume. Thank you. If you are connected here, please use your earpiece or reduce your volume. Okay, so like I was saying, it's going to save me the stress of, okay, yeah. So I can just type one or two, and then if I don't encode data, I'm going to have this kind of issue. So this is male, this is male, this is male. These two might look the same, but they are different. The computer is going to treat them differently. So if you wanted to get, excuse me, if you wanted to get summary statistics of this, it's going to count male like this as separate from male like this. So with this kind of data entry, you are going to have at least three different representations for male, and then with this, you are going to have at least two different representations for female, and that's going to be a huge problem when you are doing your analysis. So you want to avoid that uh, completely. Efficiency is much easier to type 1 2 1 1 2 2 than type male female and things like that. Also, computers don't understand letters. Computers don't understand strings. A computer does not know what E is or F. Not to talk of what efficiency is. It does not. What the computer understands is numbers. So what you want to do ideally is, if you represent things as numbers, it is easier for the computer to understand, and you know that whatever tool it is that you are using at all is going to be able to handle that better. So a lot of the time when we are encoding, we are going to represent a category as a number, maybe one, another category as another number, maybe two. So when you get that into any software, any tool at all, it can easily understand and recognize, okay, this is one, this is two, better than efficiency. And of course, when you store data like that, it takes less space, it is efficient, and the space is efficient in processing, and then compatibility across user and software. Clarity. So when you do this encoding, SPSS sort of has its own coding book with it. That's in the variable view, and the coding guidebook is just the one that tells you that, okay, one represents low, two represents moderate, three represents high. So whatever you are entering, you understand, you know that this is what maps to this. One maps to this, two maps to this. That is what a coding guidebook is like a dictionary. So basically, your variable view is that coding guidebook. And if you wanted to export your data and send it to somebody else, the person does not have SPSS. You can easily export that. You can export your data view as a raw data, and then maybe the person will just be seeing 1 2 1 1 1. They won't understand what that is. Then you also now export the variable view as your coding guidebook, and then the person can understand what they are looking at. And of course, error reduction, that sort of still ties back to this. So you have fewer errors, fewer variations while entering. So we are going to use this questionnaire as a demo. This questionnaire has 40 questions. I added one to demonstrations, making 41. I would strongly suggest that you keep your questionnaires between 20 to 30 questions. 20 is usually enough. It's less work for everybody. So, but this one has up to 40 questions. We might not encode all of them, but we are going to pick a lot of them follow the same pattern. So we are just going to pick some to demonstrate what the general pattern is like. But let's see how far we can go. So I'm going to start from here. Age as at last birthday. So age is numerical data. Okay, age is numerical data, so we want to code it as numerical data. If I split this screen, I don't know if it's going to be too small, because that is going to be really comfortable. Let me see if this is going to be okay if I split it. Let's see if you can work with this. If not, I'm going to revert back to, if any of the windows are not If any of them is not clear enough, please alert me. So this is what I want to do. This is question one. A few tips before we proceed. Ensure that you are giving your variables descriptive names. Now, this name is strict. It is what SPSS is going to identify that variable in the backend. So you cannot have spaces, you cannot have slash, you cannot have special characters, you cannot have apostrophes, and it has to be short. And it has to be something that you can easily recognize, because when you start analysis, some of those windows are quite small. You will not be able to see the full name, so you should be able to, even if you see the first few characters, you're able to recognize it. So this is what I typically do. I'm going to say q1 age. There are different conversions for doing this, but this is how I prefer mine to be. Q1 age. Sorry, this is the way I do mine. Oh, you want this to be capital? Fine, fine, capital if you want, but typically if you don't have a good reason to use capital letter, you should not. And if you have more than one word, for instance, if you have more than one word, say, let's say you want to type age as last birthday, you're going to type age as at last, you can just say age last birthday or age last bd. So there are different cases. Okay, let me just mention, there are different ways you can write strings like this. So there's something we call snake case. There's another one called camel case. So camel case capitalizes every next word. So I can say age last bd. So this is camel case, age last bd. Or you can choose to use snake case using underscores, age last bd. But I think camel case is a little more compact because it avoids all these underscores. But when we get there, we'll do that. So age is my question one, and it's a numerical variable, right? It's numerical, so I don't need to change that. Width, I don't need to change this width. I don't think there's anybody that is up to 1,000,000 years old. So eight characters will be enough. Decimals, two decimal places. We don't want decimal here. We don't want decimal here. So I'm going to turn that to 0. So this was the argument yesterday about continuous, discrete for age. Okay, label. Now what I do with label is, label should be descriptive. This is what is going to show, you mentioned yesterday that this is what you show on your analysis, this is what you show on the title of your tables. So what I do for label is, I will just come here, copy this and paste it directly. So it is a direct representation of, it's a direct representation of the question. So you can, your label should be as descriptive as possible, contain all the details you want it to contain. Values, we are not going to have any values here because we are not, the age is like open-ended. It's open-ended, so you are not making it rigid. I prefer to align everything to the left because we read from left to right, so it's easier to process that way. And then measure, I think this is going to be scale. So any numerical variable, SPSS just treats it as scale. And then is an input. Typically, you won't have to touch this one because we are taking inputs. We are not predicting outcomes of anything. So that is question one. That is how it goes. Sorry? For missing. Oh, yes. Sorry. Thank you for calling my attention. So I say it is code for missing data from the start, because it can save you some headache later. It is not compulsory, but I would recommend that you code for missing data from the start. So now coding for missing data means that the system knows what to treat as missing data. You can leave it blank, just leave it open, but that blank, the system will not recognize it as missing data. It will just recognize it as an empty string, like there's nothing there. But there's something there, but there's nothing there. It's like when you type something like this, say you have um so normally I can type something in between this, and you know there's something there. I can cancel this something. This string is still there, but there's nothing inside, so it's not going to show. Imagine that these inverted commas are invisible, but it's there, but you won't see it unless there's something in between that you see. So that is how SPS is. It will treat it as as an empty string, but it's actually there. So you want to explicitly define what a missing value is. So you want what you just want to find something to represent it, so that when you type this inside, the computer knows, okay, I'll choose that missing value. So typically you want to use something that you are sure that will not, it has no chance of being a valid entry in your data. So, and something that you know that you not accidentally press. So you can either use, what I use is either I use 111 as missing data, or I use 99, just like when we are doing the respiratory system. I know I cannot accidentally come and type 99. It's not possible. When we go further, you will see why that is. So I use 99 for missing data. So anywhere somebody does not enter their age, I'll just put 99. So when I'm doing my data cleaning and entry analysis data, I know where the missing data is. I know what to do with it. And the system will also help me that, okay, yes, I know there's missing data here. So I'm going to help you process it. I will tell it what to do with it. Question 2, marital status. So I'll do Q2 marital. Hey, what am I typing? Marital status. So I've used camel case here because I want to avoid underscores. Now, marital status is string, right? And then we want to come here and select camel case. Like camel hunchback now, use this because of the way this place sort of rises and falls, so they call it camel case. Sorry? The M. No, 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 no. The first one typically small. And then every new word is capital. There's nothing wrong. If you want, if it makes you feel better, there's nothing wrong. So typically, you want to encode this as string, right? Okay, I think we can leave this as string. So we'll leave that as string. Hmm? Because look at the values it takes. Single is a string, is a word, is not a number. So that's what we mean by string. Is a word, is not a number. So there are some instances where it's a string, but you want to encode it as a number. When we get there, I'm going to show you. Okay, so this place I'm going to just type the label directly, marital status. Values. Now this one has values. This one has values. It has single, married, separated, divorced. So we are going to give it those values, and that is we are going to encode the values and the labels. So what is the value you want to associate? A good tip is that always do your always do your encoding to be in line with how the options appear. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Keep it that way. It gives your brain less processing work to do when you are doing data entry, because it just follows the order. Your brain will map to the order automatically. So 1 is, the label is single. So this, the value is what the system is going to see. The label is what you are going to see. But what the system is dealing with is 1. But what it's going to show you and to whoever you are presenting your data to is single. So I'm going to add that, and then I go to 2, married. I'll add that. 3, sorry, the screen is not showing. Okay, I'm coming. Separated, 4, divorced. A second, please. Okay, we are proceeding now. So you can take, so missing value here, you can also use 9. Will it allow me to use 99? Yes. So you can just use the same value for all your missing value. So you know that anytime I see something missing, I just put 99. I am told I'm halfway through my time, so I'm going to move a little faster. So is this nominal or ordinal? This marital status. Hmm? It's nominal. Yeah, it's nominal. You cannot say a single person is less than a married person or less than, yeah. So I'm going to move a little faster. Please work with me. So Q, I'm going to skip religion because it follows the same pattern. Excuse me. the same pattern as marital status, so I'm going to skip it. I'll go to level of study. Even that one follows the same pattern, so I'm going to type Q4 level. I don't need of study, level is level. And then I'm going to code this as is also string, and I'm going to type here level of study. And then here I'm going to have my values just the same way we did for the other one. 100 level, 200 level. You can use enter to just skip to the next line. 300 level. Oh, there's no 100 level. Okay, so I can change it. Okay, so now in this case, depending on how you prefer, I would actually prefer to leave 200 level as true, because it's easier for me to relate 2 with 200 level. You can decide to use 1 2 3 for if you wish, but I would prefer to leave it as this. So I'm going to go 300 level. What did I just do? I changed it. So I'm using tab to move to the next to the label, and then when I type 500 level, I will use enter, and then it just continues. So that's just some of those tiny things that help you increase speed and efficiency. Okay, so this one missing data, I'm also going to code that as 99. So when I'm entering anyone that does not fill the level, I'll fill it as 99. And this is going to be ordinal. Thank you. This is going to be ordinal. Okay, so where do you live, on or off campus? The same pattern. I don't need to redo that. Do you consume alcohol? So yeah, let me also do this. Do you consume alcohol? Q5 alcohol consumption. Alcohol consumption, yes or no string. um so I'm going to just copy and paste this. So now the default thought is that no is 0 and 1 is yes, but it's going to be difficult when you are doing data entry. So it's advisable that you use 1 is yes, 2 is no. Later you can always recode if you need to and say 1 is yes, 2 is 0. But for entry, okay, I said later. You can, we are defining these things now. Say 1 is yes, 2 is no, and that is it. But if I want to later, I can come back and switch this and say that let 2 map to no. Sorry, let 0 map to no and 1 to yes. Remove 2 if there is a need to. But for the sake of entry, this is more convenient, because if you are entering, you have your, when you are doing mavis speaking, they say ASDF. So similarly, you place your fingers on those number keys, 1 2 3 4. So if you are typing 1, it's easier for you to reach 2. If you have to reach go to for 0, it's going to break your speed and flow. So it's another one of those things that help improve your speed and efficiency. So it is not a law, but sorry, what we are using. The nominal just means that, okay, the ordinal means that it follows an order. It follows you can rank it. So you can say 100 level is lower than 200 level, lower than 300 level, and so it has a rank. It is ordered. You can arrange it in ascending or descending order. But nominal is just the name. You cannot say Christianity, Islam, or whatever. You cannot say on campus is greater than off campus. You cannot say married is greater than separated. So that's just the difference. So this is nominal. Yeah, every other thing there is fine. Missing 99. So okay, now notice that, do you have any chronic illness? Okay, so this next question, do you have any chronic illness? So I'm going to code Q9 as well. I'm going to, sorry, I'm doing question 9. I'm doing question 9, chronic illness. I'm also going to call this as string. Do you have any chronic illness? This one. So I'm going to copy this. Sorry? Q9. So one interesting thing is that this is also a yes or no question. So I can just come here, copy this, and just paste it here. I have the same value label, so I'll just copy that and paste it here, and I'm done with that. So, sorry, I said since this one is a yes no question, this is also a yes no question. I don't want to have to go through the stress of recoding, so I'll just come here, copy, and then come here, paste. So it just copies that same value label, and then I can. Okay, so 99. I'm going to have to move much faster. This is nominal. So I'm going to move to the next. Okay, so now this one has specify. Now that is a thing. So if a question has specify, that means some people will type in something, they will write something that is not yes or no. So that is a different question on its own. So I'll call it Q9. I can call it Q9 specify or call it Q9b specify, or I can call it Q9b chronic illness. And it's just going to be a string. Now you want to increase the width of this, because if somebody writes diabetes mellitus, that is definitely more than 8 characters. So maybe just put 50 for a safe zone. So I'll just call it specify chronic ill. I've typed rubbish again. Specify chronic illness. The width is the number of characters that value can take. My friend, get out. Sorry? Q9, it says specify. So that specify has to be coded as a different question. So this one, some people will not have anything to specify. So you don't have to code for missing value. You expect that people will not enter anything. So just leave it blank. Typically, I leave it blank. Okay. So the next important thing we are going to do. So this is a typical Likert scale. This is a typical Likert scale. How often do you experience the following? So I feel overwhelmed. Then they say never, rarely, sometimes, often, always. So it follows the same pattern, basically. Follows the same pattern. So what I'm going to do is, this is section B. Okay. So I can just call it, yeah, Q10. Q10. I'll say overwhelmed. So you don't want to type this whole thing in your name. It's going to be too long. Q10 overwhelmed. Now, this is a typical example. Now, normally, never, rarely, sometimes, often, always. You expect that it's string. But this is a Likert scale. You are going to need to do some computation with it later. So even though it's string, I recommend that you leave it coded as numeric. Because if you code it as string, if you want to add it, you cannot add it. Because the computer is not going to see, the computer will see never, really, sometimes. It cannot add those. But if it sees 1, 2, 3, it can add those. So I will recommend that when you have a Likert scale or anything that you know that you will do some computation with it, code it as numerical. And then let the value values take care of it. So I'm going to just type here, I feel overwhelmed by academic workload. And then I can decide to specify it so that I can easily recognize it. I can call it perceived, because that section is perceived stress. So I can say perceived stress. I feel overwhelmed by academic workload. And even if sometimes I can decide that in this In this place as well, I want to have something to identify it. I can put something like PS, so that I know that everything that has PS is related to that, is related to that Likert scale. So if I see it anywhere, I know that this is what it is, and I can easily use that. So I'm going to then code this the way we have been doing. One is never, two is rarely, three is sometimes, four is often, five is always. So the advantage now is that I can come here, copy this. I'm clicking on this place, not here, the header of that row. Copy it, and I can paste it. So what I will just need to do now here is say Q11 PS, and what is the next item? I can just call it exams, and then here I'll copy the full question. I worry about upcoming exams. I'll leave the perceived stress and just replace this part. So the advantage of doing that copy is that I don't have to re-enter this value and values and labels. So it's just there directly. So I should align this to the left, and this is going to be ordinal. Okay, so that's how I'm going to go through the rest of the Likert scale and code everything. So I think I can skip over the rest of it. Now this is another age as we have done one age before. I don't need to repeat this. So but we want to put an identifier to this and say maybe age, menarche, menstrual cycle, and these are typical things. We have already covered this, so I don't have to go through all of them. They follow the same pattern generally. Follow the same pattern. Is there any other thing I lighted? I am told I have the what? Oh, that is actually it doesn't matter. It can still work as 6. The one that is 6 is because it's going to contain raw inputs like a string. So you say somebody should specify illness. And the person says, I have hypertension, I have diabetes, he has all the heads. So that's going to be long. So it will need, so it's the number of characters you're expecting. So in this instance now, in this place where I'm coding, this place where I'm using coding, I can leave it. In fact, if I turn it to 2, it's going to still work, because what is going to be seen is these labels here, 1 or 2 or 3. That's enough for it. But if it's going to be an open entry, it's not going to be enough. So I want to see if there's any other parts that is different. All these follow the same path. So one more thing that I would just want to show is how do you cope with stress. I just added this to demonstrate something. In a place where you have tick all that apply questions, each item is a different question with yes or no as options. In a question that is tick all that apply, so this is what it's going to look like. So I'm going to call this Q41 cope, and then I'll call this movies. So this is a different question, and then it's going to be, let me leave it as string. Let me leave it as string. But then again, remember, if you know you are going to do some computation with it, it's better you just, typically I will just even, if you are going to use it for a computation or for calculating something, leave it as numeric. In fact, what I do is that, except I have absolutely no choice, I code everything as numeric. I find it more convenient to do that. So how do you cope with stress? And then I'm going to put movies, because each of them is a different question. I did one yes or no at the top the other time, so I'll just go and copy it and paste it here. So if this movies is checked, then it's going to be yes. If the movie is not checked, it's going to be no. So when you have a tick all that apply question, each item, each option is a different question on its own. So I can copy this and then paste it, and then this will be Q, is still Q41 cope, but now pills. You might have a different naming convention. This is what will make sense to me. That's what I typically use. And then call these pills. I already have these ones done, so I don't have to do anything here anymore. So that's what I'm going to do till I get to the end therapy. So that's just demonstrates what we have. So when you now come to your data view, you can see that those variable names are now showing here at the top. So if you, so let's say we don't have a questionnaire, but let's assume we now have a student that is 21 years old, marital status, for some reason is divorced, and is in 600 level. You don't use this drop down typically. So I know that divorced is, and this is the advantage of coding exactly with the order of what you have done. So when I come here, I have the questionnaire in my hand, and I know that divorced is the fourth option. So I'm just going to type 4. And then I'm going to hit tab to move to the next question to change to divorced. 600 level. Again, it's easier for me to map 6 to 600 level. That's why I coded 6 at 600 level. Do you consume alcohol? No. 2 is no. Move. Do you smoke? Did you code do you smoke? No, we did not. Do you have chronic illnesses? Yes. That is yes. 1. Specify. Then you can now type whatever the person has specified. Hypertension, diabetes, whatever. And then it goes on like that. So one tip for ease of data entry, as I said, just like the way you place your fingers on, sorry, I just type the number that I coded it as. So when you do that, it's going to appear. Okay, let me do another one. So age, we do not encode anything for age. So let's say the person is 20, this one is 22 years old, he is single. Single is the first option, so I know that is 1. I press tab to move. It's not showing. Oh, okay. So go to view and check if this is, see if this is checked. Is it showing now? It's showing now, yeah. So that's one thing you want to be careful of. So you are not, it's going to just show what you encoded as until you check this. So it's going to bring out the labels. So let's say this one is in 300 level, and so on and so forth. I think my time is up. So I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to just wrap up quickly. My time is up already. I said my time is up, so I'm going to wrap up quickly with the other things. So, um, so I was saying that when I was to improve speed and efficiency, when I'm doing data entry, I usually time myself for a typical 20 to 30 question. For a typical 20 to 30 question questionnaire, I want to do 30 questionnaires in 20 minutes. So that means I'm targeting to do each questionnaire in less than 1 minute. So one of the things that I use to help me is that I'm not looking, I'm hardly looking at the keyboard. I have the questionnaire in my hand, and then I'm just looking. Age 21, 1, 2. So I'm not even reading the values. I'm just relating to the order of the number. So this is single is 1. So I just know, okay, 1. The next one, Islam 2. Next one, level 4. 1, 2, 4, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1. And that is how I just go through it. So you don't have to, I keep my fingers, this little finger is on tab, and then this one is on 1, 2, 3. Lawrence, please. This little finger is on tab. These other fingers are on 1, 2, 3. Your thumb is not going to reach 4. It's not going to be convenient. So, but this guy can extend to 4 and 5. So I just keep it there. I don't move it, and I'm just looking at the questionnaire and just going on. So that makes it easy to do. So I think we have said something about data entry. So if you are not entering data, you are not encoding data, you are not doing anything, you are importing your data. So let's demonstrate that quickly before I step away. So let me create a new, oh, please save, importantly. It does not save, you have to at least save the first time. So let me just call it project X. So it's going to be a .sav file. So I'm going to save that like that. And then, so I was saying, if you are importing data, let's say you have gotten your data from Google Forms or from Kobo Toolbox, and you have a blank, fresh, new SPSS window like this. So what you just do is very simple. Go to File, Import Data. You want to import data from Excel. Maybe your own is CSV. If it's from Google Forms, usually, okay, it could be Excel as well. So this data credit is ChatGPT. I just asked this to give me a demo data set that I can use to demonstrate something. So thank you, ChatGPT. And then I press open. You don't understand. Press file. So if you did not share questionnaire physically, I'm going to cancel this so I can show you. People fill your form online. So what you will typically get from those platforms is you get an export of the responses, typically in a spreadsheet, like an Excel file, like an Excel was a spreadsheet. So import data, Excel, and then locate wherever the file is stored on your system. Click it and then open. It's going to give you a window and ask you to do some things. Read variable names from first row of data. Yes, the first row of my data is the variable names. As you can see here, ID, sex, age, marital status, insurance status, smoker, story. Sorry, I'm too fast. Sorry. Okay, so it says read variable names from first row of data. What it simply means that the first row of my data. I should start again. Hey, my we are running short on time. Okay, file, import data, Excel. Click Excel. Wherever you have stored that Excel file, that spreadsheet on your system, just look for it, select it, and click open. So it will bring you to this window, and then you can okay. Sorry. Oh, I think it's the internet. Okay, let's just continue because of time. The internet is seeming to be poor. So you are going to have these options, and it's going to say read variable names from first row of data. That means the first row of the data. If you open it in a normal spreadsheet, this is the data set. You open it in a normal spreadsheet, you will see that the first row is titles, the title of that column. So that is just what this place is saying. Read variable names from first row. So the first row should be, if I unclick it, if I uncheck it, it's going to it's going to consider it as part of the data, but that is wrong. So that is actually the header. So you want to have it checked. And then press OK. When you do that, your data is in SPSS. If you come to your variable view, you will find that it's already there as you want it to be. The other difference, the thing is just that you might need to encode this widowed, divorced, married, um, if you want to, not necessarily. So that is that with data entry. So the final thing, I'll just go through a few other tips. Okay, so include the column for serial number. Yes, importantly. So include the column for serial number. I forgot to mention that. So actually the first thing you encode for should be serial number. We'll just wrap up this session and then we'll fix the screen issue as the next session is resuming. Sorry about that. Um, So include a column for serial number so that the serial number you are entering for that questionnaire, you label it also on the questionnaire the same way. So that if you need to track something back, you know that this questionnaire belongs to this entry. I've mentioned this, I have mentioned this, I have mentioned this, I have mentioned this. Okay, this one actually happened live and we have seen how to fix that. Save frequently. After each questionnaire, just save. SPSS is not very merciful with these things. Naming convention, we have talked about this. Code for options. Okay, we have talked about. So I think that covers it. So thank you very much for your attention. We'll take a short tiny break and then we will convene for the next session. Thank you.